the story goes that he was able to slap. They did a test back then. They did a slap on the side of a horse, and the horse showed no apparent muscle
Yeah,
damage.
you
but
see that, guys? Like all you pimps out there, you should learn that system. And make your pimp slap hand.
Nah, I don't know if they want this one because the horse ended up falling over dead apparently.
Right.
So and then they
That's a metaphor, folks.
That's a metaphor. Yeah, it's definitely a metaphor. No literal interpretations should be taken from these words.
Yeah.
Right. But apparently the horse fell over dead.
Before we start, man, which one do you want? You want this one or that one? Which one do you want to try?
I'm up for either one. I'll try this one then.
All right, go ahead.
Yeah.
Here you go.
All right. So.
I'll try this blue one.
Okay. I'll try this red one, I guess.
This is basically sake, but kind of looks like Hypnotic. Remember that old drink? Back in like the early 2000s? Probably got to shake it up first. Oh, mine's more cloudier. Look at that.
Yeah. More like traditional way almost, right?
Pause. Cheers, bro.
Cheers. Wasn't thinking that, but yeah. You can insert that pause anywhere.
What's yours taste like?
Like rice wine, I guess.
Okay.
Yeah.
Mine's a little bit sweeter. It's more cloudier too.
Mm-hmm.
Yours is what? More clear?
Yeah, it's more clear. It's don't really know how to describe it too much.
Right.
It's more like, I guess, similar to what I might have had elsewhere growing up as well.
Mm-hmm.
Like just some things maybe, visiting family, you have some of that as well. But
right.
Yeah, that's not on the Japanese side so much. But I guess it's the same or similar, right?
You drink the Chinese hard liquor, right?
Sometimes.
What is that?
Sometimes.
It's
Usually
like, it's like
when we
a
go,
white red bottle. What's it called?
Oh, that one.
Yeah.
The really expensive kind.
That thing is disgusting.
Yeah. That's the Maotai. Oh, you think it's disgusting? I like it.
It doesn't taste like alcohol. It tastes like some kind of car chemical.
You
like
gotta have it with food.
Oh, really? Yeah, I had it with food. It was during the Chinese New Year.
Maybe it's an acquired taste then, because
yeah, it's horrible. I mean, that's just my opinion.
I feel like it goes well. It goes well with a lot of dishes.
Right.
To me.
Yeah.
But then you eat it with spicy dishes, and you get like a double fire burn in your belly.
Right. Before we start, man, I want to ask you a question about this, though.
Yeah, what's up?
So lately, a lot of my friends, they saw this Korean actor. He's like a famous action star. In America, we call him Don Lee, which his first appearance in an America cinema was
Don Lee.
The Eternals, Marvel Eternals.
Definitely
right?
rings a bell, but
what's his Korean name, Al? Ma Dong-seok,
Okay.
right? And the crazy thing is that everybody thinks I look like this guy.
okay.
And I don't see it. I do not see myself looking like this dude, you know?
Let me take a look real quick.
Yeah, go ahead. I mean,
Don Lee.
like, my wife jokes all the time that that's your dad.
I guess I just searched for Don Lee actor. Let me take a look.
Yeah.
Oh, he looks like Benedict Wong to me.
Yeah, he does look like Benedict Wong. Holy
Hang on a
crap.
second.
He's kind of like the Korean version.
Maybe if you were both at a distance. I mean, if he's about the same height as you.
Right.
How tall is this dude?
Right.
Don Lee height.
But everybody, my friends, they all say, like, that's you, man. That's you. And to me,
5'10". Yeah, 5'10".
I'm thinking, like, he doesn't even look like me, man. Like, that's
this
crazy.
is why we need more Asian representation in Hollywood.
Right.
Not every stocky, thick Asian is the same guy, right?
So apparently he is the biggest action star in Korea.
Okay.
You know.
I haven't seen him too much. I mean, I've seen
Oh,
maybe clips of him.
probably you
I
haven't
haven't seen the
watched. You should
Eternals.
watch his movies, man.
Okay.
He there's a reason why people like him. Is like his action is always like crazy. You know.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, people just say that I look like Jet Li growing up.
Oh yeah, what do people think of how you look like? Because I know I remember you mentioned before that people thought you was Korean a lot, right?
A lot of people. This is like across different groups.
Right.
Right. I've had like white people, black people, Asian people all say that.
Damn.
Most recently, my wife and I went to go eat at a Vietnamese restaurant,
Uh-huh.
and when I went to go pay, one of the women behind the counter just straight up looks at me and says, "Hey, are you Korean?" It's like, no. You
Why?
look Korean. I was like, got that a bunch. So
Why would she just point out and say, "Hey, you Korean? Why? Are you gonna get a discount for it?"
I should have.
Yeah, you
I
should
should
have
have
just
said
said
yes
it.
and just seen what happens. Right, missed opportunity.
Yeah.
Yeah. But I mean, people from the old countries, they're not as
Oh
they're not as
man.
PC. So
Yeah.
whatever they're thinking, they're gonna say it, especially
Right.
when they're older than you. So
That's crazy. So speaking of cinema, man, what do you think about fight scenes and action movies in general?
I mean, now for like the past couple of years, when I've been learning a little bit from you, I'm able to appreciate it as a different art more.
Oh yeah.
And getting a chance to talk to some of the other folks in the industry as well.
Mm-hmm.
Knowing some folks in the different arts that I've done who are also in the industry, they talk about the different challenges in getting different martial arts to cross over,
Right.
right? So
Right.
and of course, I think a lot of people who do reality-based martial arts or combat martial arts, whatever you want to call it, they see the movies purely as a fake thing, right? So there's probably a certain amount of disrespect that people give to it,
Right.
right? So like some people say, even about Bruce Lee, they'll say, "Oh, he's just an actor."
Right.
Far from the truth, by the way. But that's another topic from another time, right? So yeah, I always felt, whether or not most people are trying to think that way,
Mm-hmm.
that if a martial artist did a movie or focus his career on doing movies and shows where you had to do a lot of scenes, somehow he's less of a martial artist,
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But learning about it more, definitely respect it more as a discipline.
Right.
It's tough.
Well, I mean, coming from two different sides, doing martial arts and in the stunt world, right? So you have two different things, but I kind of understand both sides.
Mm-hmm.
You have one argument with the martial arts side saying it's too fake. We don't do it like that, right? And then you have the stunt world is like, well, we need to do it like that, or else,
Right.
you got to think about safety. You got to think about entertainment because because in real, like I said before, in real martial arts, you can't telegraph a lot of things. If you
Right.
telegraph it, what happens?
Yeah, the camera can't pick it up, right?
Yeah.
Well,
So for stunts and fight scenes, you have to telegraph it more for
Mm-hmm.
the audience to see the movement and for so I do understand both sides, but then that's how it is. I mean, there has been martial artists that's tried to put practical like martial arts in real
Yeah,
fight
yeah.
scenes, but they think it's good, but then to the audience don't see anything.
Mm. So when do you think it does work? Like, I feel like one of the guys who's been successful with doing, say like BJJ moves or MMA moves on screen is Donnie Yen, right? So like, what do you think about him has made it work? For example, I'm thinking about that scene they had with Colin Cho
Yeah, yeah,
in
yeah, yeah, yeah.
Flashpoint.
I
So,
remember that. That's a great fight scene,
yeah,
man.
yeah,
That's what Donnie Yen did there. He kind of brought, the MMA and grappling world to. I mean, I can't really say that's really him, but he opened up a lot of people's eyes to that style of fighting.
Yeah.
Especially for film combat and
Mm-hmm.
fight scenes. He did it well, man. It's crazy because a lot of us we experimented in grappling with fight scenes and never looked good.
Yeah.
But for some reason he did it and it looks beautiful.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know, man. Grappling with fight scenes, especially what he did, is really hard. I don't know how he he managed to do that and make it look good.
I guess you gotta sell all the little movements in grappling,
Yeah.
right? Like going for
Yeah.
an armbar, like I'm
Yeah.
really going for this armbar, or going for this choke. I'm really.
I mean,
Just
maybe it's
exaggerate as
because
much
he
as you
added a
can.
lot of throws to it instead of
Mm.
just like ground game all the time, I guess.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, that is, I do believe that's the only practical martial arts that's like looks good on film, I guess.
Yeah.
You know, for that particular fight scene, but I've seen other people do it, and it's really bad.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, have you seen other movies that showcase, that type of fighting style?
I don't think it was. I think it was decently done, but like the folks that never back down. That was when I first saw MMA in a film combat situation.
Right.
You know, and I'm sure they did a lot of things with the camera angles. They had and some of the main actors, they weren't.
Right.
I don't think they were really like MMA fighters so much. Right.
They're
So,
not.
yeah.
Some of them are not, but you could tell like if you seen Never Back Down, some of them have like just regular martial arts and or like even trickers. You see a lot of them throw like 360s or crazy 540 kicks out of nowhere, and it's like, wow, this is like an MMA fight that looks too choreographed.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Well, cause talking to some of the folks in who are in the Hollywood stunt industry that I know, a lot of them were trickers, a lot of them were parkour athletes.
Yeah.
Martial arts is in there too, but it seems like they either learn it for the role or they're learning it alongside their work, right?
Right.
Yeah, but then there are some that I saw they're doing like the XMA forums competitions, and
yeah, I mean,
seems like it's a pretty wide range of people.
Right, like the whole the trickers and the XMA people, they're basically wushu for kung fu, right?
Right.
I'm not naming names, but there are a lot of trickers out there that think that they can actually fight,
Yeah, well, I mean, we were talking we were talking the other day about how a lot of wushu athletes think the same too, right?
Yeah.
It's like
yeah.
I don't know. I guess it's easy to buy the hype after a certain point.
Right.
So
Right.
I was getting off topic a little bit, not really. So WrestleMania was this past weekend, right? And
which your wife was giving you ass about it, like she was just like, "Fuck, man, why?" It's like, why are you watching this show? Remember?
Well, she sat there with me and watched most of the highlights, and then
what did she think of it?
Well, the whole time she was shaking her head. She's like, "This is stupid. This is stupid. Why do you like this?" I'm like, "I don't really know. Don't ask too many questions."
Right.
So, I mean, to me, that's that WWE type of performance is essentially just live stunts.
Yeah, it's a fight scene, man.
Yeah. And they build up these characters, and a lot of fans, whether they admit it or not, they probably believe that those characters can actually, on some level, do what they actually do, right?
Right.
It's like, oh, you don't want to get chokeslammed by that guy, or you don't want to get put into a power bomb by this guy.
Yeah. I mean, I'm not gonna shit on it, man.
Definitely
These guys
not.
have talent.
They have talent.
Like,
they take a lot of pain.
Yeah.
They take a lot of they work really hard.
Yeah. They're basically stunt guys, man. They're entertainers, Speaking of which, have you ever heard of this thing back in the early '90s called WMAC Masters?
I have. I've seen some of those early shows.
Yeah.
I've seen clips of those early shows where they have them like in a dark room and they say, "Oh, this is your ultimate challenge."
Yeah,
right?
yeah. So that was the martial arts version of like pro wrestling in a way.
I can see that.
Because, I could tell that, there were actually people that thought that WMAC Master was real.
They do make it to where if you're like kind of watching it and you're not really focusing, you can believe that it's real.
Yeah.
Yeah, because they do invite real martial artists on there too, right?
Yeah.
Well, just like even with pro wrestling, they have a lot of former top level actual wrestlers and football players, martial artists, right?
Right. Well, I mean, these guys are all martial arts actors, and but I'm not gonna lie, I like the show.
Yeah, I remember seeing clips from it.
Yeah, because even Bruce Lee's daughter was like representing it as well.
Oh, okay. What did she did? She did Jeet Kune Do, I'm guessing.
No, she wasn't one of the contestant as a fighter. I think she was like a newscaster. Well,
Oh, okay.
you watched the show, Al?
Which one?
The WMC Masters.
I only saw clips of it on YouTube. But
Okay.
she, what you're talking about, Sharon Lee. She only like was like the presenter of the show.
Okay. Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
Mm.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't want to say host, but she just like presented like, oh, what's the show about, and like, what's this episode of gonna like show, and then that
Right. Right. There was two contestants. I think they were brothers.
Hmm.
One of the brothers was doing like a drunken style kung fu, and the other one was Ho Sung Pak, which he was the Mortal Kombat.
Wholesome Pack.
Yeah.
Haven't
He-
seen that guy.
Oh, he was in Drunken Master too, with Jet Li. No, not Jackie. I'm sorry, Jackie Chan.
Who did he play then? Then I've definitely seen him. Who's he in that?
he was the first he was like the second in command who fought Jackie Chan first in the beginning of the movie.
Oh, that was a Korean actor.
Yeah,
I've
he
seen
was
him.
under Ken Lo or Ken.
Oh.
And
Oh no, he was good. He was good.
Yeah,
Yeah,
Yeah.
he's the original motion actor for Liu Kang in the
for Mortal Kombat, he was the original guy.
Oh, that's why.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
That was another couple of movies I enjoyed seeing. I mean, I was like 11 at that
Yeah.
time,
Yeah.
and I just remember seeing
not the
Robin
movie,
Shue.
The game, not the movie,
Oh, the game?
The game, yeah.
Oh, he did well then. He did well. I played the game too when I was like
Yeah.
7,
Yeah.
and then the movies came out, and
Right.
Shao Kahn going like annihilate him. So corny but so good.
I still say the original was better, in my opinion.
The first one,
The first Mortal Kombat movie.
I saw them in the opposite order, but I saw Annihilation first, and then you're talking about compared to this one.
Oh wait, you saw Annihilation first?
Yeah.
Damn, bro.
This was
Wow.
back in the VHS days, man. It wasn't the same.
Yeah.
It wasn't as easy to get it.
Yeah. You know what the funny thing is? The little brother that was in in the first Mortal Kombat movie,
Oh, who got his soul taken?
got his soul
Yeah.
taken. He's an actual stunt coordinator now, or fight choreographer.
All right.
He's been in Conan. You remember when they had a stunt coordinator come and show him?
With
That was him.
the Jason Momoa Conan, or
No,
the,
Conan the TV.
oh,
late night.
with that
Oh, the late night host.
Yeah, the late night host.
okay, Conan O'Brien. Okay.
Conan O'Brien. Yeah,
Conan
that's his
O'Brien.
name.
Yeah.
So sometimes he'll
I
bring
was
in.
thinking about the sword swinging guy.
Nah.
Oh, the barbarian.
Yeah,
So-
yeah.
So he brought in a stunt coordinator or a fight choreographer, and it was that kid that got his soul taken.
Oh man.
You know, so I recognized him right away, and he
Mm-hmm.
looks a little bit older, but I mean, speaking of which, like, what about that guy that played Liu Kang? I haven't seen him in anything
Robin
anymore.
Shue. Yeah,
Yeah.
he's got to be pushing. He's got to be in his 50s now.
Yeah,
I did see him pop up here and there. I know some YouTube channels like to interview these old school
right.
action stars and
Uh-huh.
martial arts stars. So I did see him, or at least I heard him talked about. But now I don't know where he went. But no, I enjoy watching him. I enjoy watching him in both versions of those early '90s movies.
Done.
Not yet. I'm still going on this one, but I thought he did pretty good. And he was one of the people who actually helped me along in staying interested in martial arts, even when I was like 9 or 10 at that time.
Wow, really?
Before I really started training, like it started off at the very beginning with like wuxia shows, then it went to Power Rangers.
Yeah.
So that was a big shift. But then it went to Ninja Turtles, Mortal Kombat, Three Ninjas.
You think
Jackie
he
Chan
did his
Adventures.
own stunts in the Mortal Kombat movies?
I bet he did at least some of them. Maybe he didn't do all the flips.
Yeah, all the hard kicks that you saw, like the
Yeah.
540 kicks and stuff, it's not really him. It's actually Tony Jaa. Tony Jaa was the stunt double.
Oh, so that was like a 20-year-old Tony
Yeah.
Jaa.
Is it for
Wow.
Annihilation or is it for Mortal Kombat first
he did
one?
More, like, he did more stunts in Annihilation than the first one. The first
Yeah,
one, actually, Robin.
it was like Reptile, right, or something like that.
He was Reptile in the first one, and he was Sub-Zero in the second one.
Because there were some scenes I was like, how come Robin looks kind of tan in this? He's
Oh,
like,
he-
he just got a tan from the back.
Oh, he landed. He went into Moy Baran pose. Hang on a second.
It's crazy.
21-year-old Tony Jaa. That must have been
Yeah.
incredible to watch.
Yeah. You know, I think the last movie that I seen him in was Beverly Hills Ninja, man.
Robin Shou or Tony
Yeah,
Jaa?
Robin Shou.
Okay.
Like, that was the last movie I seen him in Hollywood, bro.
See, there was actually a lot of these films I actually missed out on. Like a lot of those ninja films,
Yeah.
I didn't get in on during that time.
Oh, it's very popular in the '80s, man.
Yeah.
I'm sure
that
you
was
didn't-
right before my time.
Oh, okay.
Like I was more of a '90s kid.
Oh, I mean,
Um,
you can relate to that. You're a '90s kid too.
well, I mean, I've seen
Damn,
it.
making me feel old and shit, man.
I've seen the movie. It's actually
Classical.
funny,
Yeah.
Vintage.
Yeah.
yeah. Especially it's Chris Farley, of course. Yeah, he's hilarious.
Yeah.
Yeah, I just remember that from in
Okay.
the van down by the river. That's all I remember from Chris Farley. Unfortunately,
So what's your favorite fight scenes or favorite movie that's action related?
different fight scenes. Movie wise, I definitely gotta say Drunken Master 2 when he was in
okay.
the
Yeah,
the
yeah.
coal mine.
Yeah.
Jet Li's
That's
scene.
one of my favorites too. Yeah.
Yeah, Jet Li has a lot of iconic ones against Donnie Yen and Once Upon a Time in China.
Oh yeah,
The
yeah,
second one.
yeah. When he
Um,
turned that, it was like some kind of cloth into a staff. Was it that one?
Yeah.
That one was dope.
Yeah. Yeah, and just his ability to play that character. I mean, I'm sure the real Huang Fei Hong didn't fight like that at all.
Right.
But he was just so good in that role. And I mean, he was one of my main guys that I watched growing up also, like including that Fist
Right.
of Legend movie. Some other good scenes.
He
I mean-
played as Wong Fei Hong in that movie, right?
Yeah.
So let me ask you this. So the real Wong Fei Hong, wasn't he like a doctor or something like that?
He was a traditional Chinese medicine doctor. He was a Hong Guard practitioner.
Right.
That's mainly as far as I know about him. Apparently, also one of his wives was really good at martial arts
Yeah.
too, and she had a very unique style that involved a lot of kicking. But I don't know.
You remember the style of that art?
It was a Cantonese name. It's hard to remember now.
Mm.
Yeah, but she, from what I remember, she had it in her family already.
Mm-hmm.
And so when they met, she was one of his later wives. She already knew that system.
Okay.
Yeah, and then when he started training with her, she added in what he taught her.
Right.
Yeah, but yeah, he was a traditional doctor apparently.
Wow. Yeah. Yeah, I heard about that. Wow. So what other movies? You said Drunken Master 2.
Yeah, Drunken Master 2.
What do you think of 1?
I enjoyed it a lot actually.
I thought
Yeah.
1 was very good.
I did a imitation of the 8 Immortals forms a few times.
I seen the videos.
That was hard.
Bro. You know what? I'm gonna post that up on.
Yeah, you'll get see poofy hair Frank in his
Right.
20s.
Right. Wait. No, actually, this video that I saw, you only did the normal. That's when you was doing wushu.
Yeah,
At
that
the
was
time, right?
that was like an old compulsory wushu form
Yeah.
from like the 90s.
So do you still have that drunken one around?
It's on YouTube somewhere.
Okay.
Yeah, I can probably dig it up and send it over your way.
Okay.
Yeah, this is like 10, 11 years ago now.
Damn.
Yeah, I don't know how I feel doing all those rolls now.
Damn.
Yeah.
I remember
Maybe
you
I should
did like this one.
I should recreate that form with this cup.
I don't know if it's called. Did you ever do the dragon tail whip kick? And then it transitions to a split.
Oh yeah, that was
Yeah.
one of the main moves in the
Yeah.
compulsory form.
That is
Yeah.
crazy.
Yeah,
man.
did
you
that
did
on
that
a-
on concrete. I was like, damn.
Yeah, my heel hurt for about a month after that. Because
That's crazy.
you have to really try to get as high as you can on that jump,
Yeah.
and then as you're dropping, sometimes your feet catch. A lot of
Right.
times your feet end up catching a lot just because you don't want to land straight on the equipment.
Yeah. I don't think you're meant to do that on concrete, but kudos to you, man.
No, you're definitely not meant to. My foot reminded me of that.
Oh, damn.
Yeah, so it was
Did you have to play it off like you're okay? Like, yeah.
Yeah, at the time I didn't feel it that much. I felt it more the next day.
Oh,
At the
shit.
time you got the nerves and and the adrenaline going. Then
Right.
later on the next day I was like, oh, I can't walk that well.
Right.
So,
Wow. Wow.
but it was a fun time. I mean, doing wushu is very good. I think a lot of traditional martial arts like to
Right.
dump on it, but it helps a lot. I think with just conditioning and
I mean, it definitely
flexibility.
helps for film.
Yeah,
I
yeah, yeah.
mean, I don't know. I don't know a lot about wushu. I don't know. I know it's just mainly based on forms, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So it's it's also just a term in Chinese for martial arts overall. But yeah, most of the time when people say wushu now, they're talking about that competitive style that actually Jet Li got started in.
Right.
And yeah, they do. It's mainly forms competitions.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, they might have choreographed 2 people sets. But yeah, it's all forms with weapons and empty hands. And nowadays a lot of people are doing sanda also, which they also call wushu.
Yeah.
Because this has the
I was
same
just
game.
gonna ask you about that, like, because I remember back then they would hold like wushu competitions.
Yeah.
And I seen the forms, but they also have a portion of it which was Sanshou Asanda
Yeah.
competition, which
Yeah.
that is more practical, right?
Yeah.
So I was like, well, okay, like, so I was a bit confused, like, why they call it wushu then? Like, is wushu just means martial arts? in
Wushu just
Chinese?
means martial arts, so that's probably how a lot of people might interpret that. So because I know at the World Wushu Games they have both of them. They have
Right,
both those
right.
sectors there, right?
Then where did Kung Fu come from then? Like, what?
Gong Fu just means hard work. I don't know exactly where it went into the lexicon in the U.S. I'm sure Bruce Lee had a lot to do with it as well. Like there was some people that he was working with back in the '60s to write different books on
And
Chinese
he called
martial
it
arts.
Kung Fu? Is
Yeah,
it like
he
a
called it Kung Fu.
Cantonese
He
thing?
called it Kung Fu with a K, I believe.
Is it a Cantonese thing? That's why?
As far as calling it Kung Fu or Gong Fu,
Yeah, yeah.
it's hard. I don't know. I honestly don't know. I mean,
Yeah.
because nowadays, you might hear from both Cantonese and non-Cantonese speakers.
Right.
So, but I've also heard it. I also heard practicing my Gong Fu referred to when talking about practicing, dancing or
Yeah.
any sort of craft. So, yeah, I don't know. I don't know where it really started, but I know that at least in the West, Bruce Lee had a lot to do with it being actually called Kung Fu.
Right.
So, because back then, like before even he made it to Hollywood, he was trying to establish himself as a martial arts figure
Wow.
in the U.S. So, and he seemed like he did to a large extent.
Mm-hmm.
He got the respect of a lot of people who were pillars in the West Coast martial arts community, and a lot of these guys were older than him. So for him to gain their respect as like a 20-year-old or something to that effect, he must have had some level of talent too.
Right. Right. Wow. What's any modern? Well, actually, let's talk about the old school one.
My first time watching Shaw Brothers was Shaolin Prince, or
Shaolin Prince.
or Iron Fingers of Death. 5 Fingers of Death.
5 Fingers of Death.
So the one where
Damn, you watch stuff I've never seen.
you probably know which one it is,
I've
because
never heard of it.
the one where the two princes, the two
Okay.
young princes, had to escape as little kids,
Okay.
and they both grow up in separate settings. So one of them grows up kind of under like some fugitives, and he gets trained in the sword.
Mm-hmm.
He gets trained in the straight sword. The other one grows up in the Shaolin Temple, and he gets trained in the traditional Shaolin Temple way.
I never seen it.
Yeah.
What is it called again?
Shaolin Prince. Shaolin Prince is one name. Another name is Iron Fingers of Death.
Okay.
It's got some pretty big names in it. It's got actually the guy who plays Jackie Chan's father in Drunken Master 2. He plays one of the princes in this, because this was like
yeah.
like 20 years before.
Right.
I liked it.
Apparently, he was like the playboy back then. He was like good looking. And
Yeah, he's
stuff.
like, what's his
Yeah.
name? T Long or something like that.
Yeah.
Yeah,
But
yeah.
he practiced Wing Chun, right?
Yeah, he practiced something. A lot of those guys practice some classical stuff, right?
Mhm,
Like,
mhm.
because like I heard some of them practicing like Southern Mantis and different Shaolin systems, and
Right.
also having that. A lot of them had like a Peking opera background,
Right,
right?
right.
So a lot of good stuff in there,
Mm,
like a lot of good classical sets.
right.
Yeah. But that was one of my favorite scenes from that movie Well, there's actually a bunch. So some of the individual fight scenes between the brothers before they knew they were brothers,
Uh-huh.
and also when they were going up against these groups, like one scene where they were going up against the 18 Luohan hands,
Uh-huh.
right? So the Shaolin Temple, they had these guys who would flip out from the shadows, like you're yelling the whole way, and they had these rings. They had these
Right.
huge rings for their weapons. So the brothers had to team up with their different styles. Like the Shaolin guy had the staff, and the other brother, he had the sword. So
Uh-huh.
I like that one. If I had to pick one,
It also feels like the story is good too. How you described it.
it was a pretty good story because it's a story about revenge. So like, not to spoil it too much, but then again,
I mean,
guess
every fight, like action movies has
Yeah, that's
some
true.
form of
That's true.
vengeance.
so yeah, so basically it's about a warlord who overthrows the king and
Uh-huh.
queen, and and they die,
Mhm.
and the princess had to basically live on the run.
Mhm.
So the adults who smuggle them out of the palace had to hide them because they're the heirs to the throne, and this warlord's gonna try to kill them if he finds out about them.
Right.
And they grow up. They each train in their different systems, and but the Shaolin monk doesn't know about this. Like he grows up thinking, as far as he knows, he's just a monk that got dropped off as an orphan,
Mm.
and then he grew up knowing the system. But it turns out he grew up learning the system. Turns out he's one of the princes.
Right.
And then, but the other one was aware of the whole thing.
Right.
The other one's aware, my goal is to get revenge for my kingdom and everything.
Right.
So he's been training for a different
It
purpose.
kind of reminds me of the one with Jet Li, Tai Chi master, but they're not brothers. They're just brothers growing up in a Shaolin temple, and then
Yeah.
when they left, one became bad, and
Yeah, that was the first time I started really being interested in Tai Chi as an actual
Mhm.
martial art. Because before that, I was like a lot of people, where I thought it was just an old people exercise.
yeah.
But after
still
Jet
think,
Li,
Sorry to cut
Yeah.
you off. I still think it's like that, but I'm doing it now, and I feel good.
what does that say?
Well, I'm only doing the standing meditation from what
Yeah.
your Sifu was teaching.
Yeah, no, it's
Yeah.
it's great stuff. Like
Yeah.
it's you wouldn't think that just standing still holding a posture does very much.
No, it works, man.
But
It
it's
works.
it's a tremendous tremendous boost.
Right.
And according to my teacher, a lot of different martial arts systems from China have some sort of stationary posture training, to kind of develop that foundation and
Right.
just to enhance your performance.
Right. Right.
Excuse me. Yeah, but no, it works. It's I'm really glad that I'm learning it.
Right. So going back to that Tai Chi master, you said
Yeah.
this is one of the reasons why you started doing Tai Chi.
I mean, I was just doing like some of the exercise stuff that I saw on DVDs at the time.
Mhm.
But it was the first time I appreciated Tai Chi as a potential actual combative art. So that I was like 13 at that time.
Oh wow.
So that's probably what opened my mind up to that idea.
Oh wow. So
so-
let me ask you this then, since movies kind of motivated you to try to do it. Then when you start doing the style,
Mhm.
did you notice this a huge difference between the movie version and real life?
I didn't do actual Tai Chi until probably about 20 years after that. Not
Uh-huh.
20 years, 15.
Right.
The principles that they talk about in the movie are probably not that different,
Mm-hmm.
right? The idea of, listening and the idea of, borrowing they're forced to use, but they're displayed in different forms in other arts too. Like, in boxing they talk about rolling with the punches, right?
Mm-hmm.
In grappling they talk about being able to use mobility and be able to use feel and being sensitive and not just like powering your way through things.
Right.
So those principles are pretty universal. But yeah, in real life, the way the Tai Chi is trained, right? It's a lot more about developing the body structure, developing your abilities more than anything else about a specific technique. At least the
Right.
way it's usually taught.
Mm-hmm.
There are techniques, but at least where we're at, I don't know if it's very easy to actually learn those techniques.
Mm-hmm.
But they're there. But is there in the form of the context of like almost like clinch fighting or stand up wrestling movements.
Right.
Yeah, so what's in that way it was pretty different than what I thought it would be.
Mm-hmm.
Excuse me. Because growing up, I was doing striking arts. Grew up doing a lot of striking arts, and when I realized that Tai Chi was more for the clinch, more for the wrestling movement, at least as far as a lot of the techniques that were demonstrated would go. That was a big surprise.
Okay.
Yeah, and there's groups out there actually that teach Tai Chi in a combative form.
Well, I seen competition where they have like Tai Chi combat or Chi combat, which they basically stand there and try to force each other's.
Yeah, those are push hands competitions.
Push hands,
yeah.
yeah,
So
correct.
so that's a way to kind of measure certain skills.
Right.
But even then, like outside of that, I know people who are former military, former law enforcement, security guards. They would teach their version of Tai Chi, in ways that was meant to teach people how to defend themselves.
Mhm.
Like being able to feel, being able to move, being able to be sensitive, and
Mhm.
also being able to develop power.
Right.
So it's there. It's there.
Right.
Just it's not very frequently taught.
Wow.
And it's different. It's not quite the same as just doing the push hands, because the push hands, I think, just measures mainly a couple of different aspects of skill. But that's more of a specific area. I think it can be almost separated from training purely for combat purposes or self-defense purposes.
Right.
But it does develop attributes. Yeah.
Wow. Yeah, I need to explore more towards it now. I want to see what it can benefit me at my age.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, it's one of those things where I think it can help enhance a lot of other things that you're doing also. And anybody, it helped me tremendously.
Right.
Like I would be curious to see what it looks like if, let's say, a boxer or a kickboxer or an MMA fighter, if they took their time out to learn some sort of internal martial art, or at least some exercises from internal martial arts while they're going through their career.
Right.
So that'll be. I mean,
how come that's not a thing though? How come it's not being promoted more? What do you think? What do you think it is? To be honest, in my opinion, doing martial arts growing up, when I see Tai Chi, it's kind of like I already feel like I have no patience for it. I have no time for it, and it's just, I'm not gonna lie. I mean, when you see old people doing it, it's kind of like, oh man.
Yeah. Well, there is a form that gets promoted, to older folks who want to just stay active, go out to the parks together. I mean, you see in the different Chinatowns.
Yeah.
Right. They'll get together at the parks and they'll do their sets together. Right. So that part, it is what you see. It is an exercise for folks who may be a little bit too advanced in age to do more intense forms of exercises.
Right.
Without excess risk of injury. But there is also the method of training that's more along the lines of what some of these combat Tai Chi groups do. But
I did participated one time in a Tai Chi thing they were doing in the park. So anybody can just join. So I just tried it out of nowhere. And, the instructor didn't really show his thing. He's just basically saying, just follow my movement.
Yeah.
And the whole time, I'm so impatient. I'm like doing breakdance moves. And it's like, and he's not like watching anybody.
The camera caught that, right?
But, like, jokes to the side, I kind of need to explore more towards the real stuff. And so far, Frank here introduced me to his Sifu. What's his name? Tim? Is it Tim?
Yeah.
Tim. What's
Tim
his?
Lee.
Yeah, and he teaches at the park all the time. And so far, just that first day, the stuff he was telling me just makes sense.
What resonated with you? Like, which ones hit home?
Well, it's so funny because he just walks up. He'll walk up to me and he goes, "It's like, keep your back straight. You just gotta smile more, man. Just keep smiling more."
Yeah,
and as funny as that is, he's right. And the whole concept of dropping your weight to the ground, like in that stance, in the beginning, I didn't understand it, but then I started to feel it, and all that pain that I had on my shoulders,
Yeah.
went away a little bit. So I was like, oh, okay, I really got to get. So now I'm interested in it.
Right.
At first, I
Good.
was just like, it's Tai Chi, whatever.
Yeah. Well, I mean, that's the perception. Like
Yeah.
99.9% of the time is like, oh,
Yeah.
is that slow, soft stuff, right?
Yeah.
And honestly, most of the times when it's practice, that's exactly what it is. That
Mhm.
slow, soft stuff.
Right.
Not that it doesn't have health benefits. It's been shown to help decrease blood pressure and decrease stress levels and
Right.
everything. But yeah, to really train it, it takes a lot of patience and it takes
Right.
a lot of it takes a lot of serious focus for an extended
Right.
period of time.
Definitely good for stress relief. Like like it. I always hear where they say empty your mind all the time.
Yeah.
Like that typical phrase. Well, now I feel it in this. Like like all
Mhm.
that stress that I had, went away a little bit, and that's one of the reasons why I was like, man, I need to get into it deeper and see where it goes.
Yeah. And I mean, it's one of those things where it's not so much about how much you do; it's more about how focused you are when you're doing it. Kind of to paraphrase my teacher.
Right.
So a lot of those Tai Chi masters, the legitimate ones, right?
Right.
Their practice is not very complicated. It's really a lot of it's a handful of exercises,
Right.
and a few forms, right? It's one of those things though where it can be difficult especially if someone's new to Tai Chi, right, to distinguish what they're getting, right? Because a lot of those people who teach at parks, some of them might have really good ability, and some of them might just be there to kind of get people to move around,
Right.
So without really knowing what's what, right? A lot of times it can be difficult to kind of like to tell, at least just from seeing it, right? You have to feel it a lot of the time, like you were saying.
Yeah. I mean, Al, you did that with us. How do you feel about that?
It was relaxing.
It's relaxing,
It was
right?
relaxing.
Yeah.
At first, I never really understood it. And then until Tim explained it, like thoroughly, I'm like, okay, now it makes sense.
Right.
And then when I actually really not focus, but actually got into the stance, I'm like, oh, wow, it's actually relaxing.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
I mean, I don't do it as often as Lang does, but I do it sometimes. It does help.
I do it in the showers, bro. that hot water. I'm just like, it's just nice.
It's like the discount version of meditating in
Yes.
the shower.
Yes.
Ain't gotta travel.
I mean, he
I'm
did.
meditating in the waterfall.
Yeah, he did mention you can use that while you're sitting, or And,
Yeah.
I haven't tried the sitting position yet, but I'm always doing the standing.
Sitting position is challenging. Yeah,
It is?
Yeah. Because it's a lot of opening your hips up and a lot of just being able to
Pause, bro.
keep. Well, the next one I was gonna say keep your back full. So yeah, that's another pause. That's pause squared. So, but it's good for you.
Yeah.
It's good for you. It really help you line up. Pause. I'm saying it just in case. Saying it just in case now. But yeah, it's very good for you.
Yeah. Huh. Interesting. Wow. So, what other martial arts that you think athletes these days can benefit from? I mean, you already said Tai Chi. Is there any other styles like Qigong? Qigong is kind of related to Tai Chi in a way, right?
I mean that just translates to breath work or energy work. So yeah, most classical martial arts have some form of a Qigong exercise. Usually, it's to build up your body, build up your connect your intent with your movement. There's actually entire systems that are built around connecting your intent with your body movement. So that's one of the ideas, and it made less sense for me when I first started, but I guess now looking at it, I'm starting to appreciate more why those old timers do it in that way.
Right.
Right.
Are you starting to appreciate it now, or like when you were younger?
When I was younger, I thought it was cool to see because that was by watching Jet Li or by watching some of the other, and it wasn't Jet Li. After that movie came out, there were some other shows that came out that kind of had a similar idea. They were usually guys who play like those like wuxia like hero figures,
Right.
right? And they would do some version of Tai Chi to be able to demonstrate their ability to overcome like this big, lumbering wrestler dude. Um, so stories are never stories in real life are real life is never as clean as those stories, right?
Right.
But it does have a lot of benefits for your psychology. It has a lot of benefits for your relaxation physically as well.
Mm-hmm.
Because they're not fully separate, right?
Yeah.
So it does have a lot of restorative benefits. It also helps teaches you how to more effectively generate movement along your connected chains.
Right.
And it's not the only one who does it, but I feel like it's one of the ones that, if you commit to the process, is more likely to get you to that point.
Right. What martial arts movie that you seen that you thought was good and practical in your way that you see it,
Right.
you see it in films? What movie have you seen that was like that?
What movie have I seen as far as practicality?
I mean, you did mention Donnie Yen in that one.
Donnie Yen,
yeah, but-
and at the time, actually, The Bourne Identity had a bit of an impact on me too.
Damn.
Yeah, because that was the first time I even knew about Filipino martial arts.
Really?
Yeah, I didn't know
What
anything.
the hell?
Yeah, well, I was like 15 when that movie came out, and I'd just been
Oh yeah.
I hadn't been doing martial
Again,
arts too
I am
long.
too old.
Yeah, we're dating ourselves here, right?
Yeah.
So, but yeah, that was the first time I knew about Filipino martial arts, and I wasn't really into Bruce Lee yet, so I didn't know about Inosanto.
You know what the funny thing is? People actually thought that movie was based off of Krav Maga.
Well, yeah, because Krav Maga had been popular like right before that, right? When Jennifer movie came out with that, Jennifer Lopez came out with that movie. That was interesting, but
That was questionable. Yes.
yeah, but so I can see that, like, because that movie came out like the year before or something, so they probably still had that in their memories, right?
Okay.
And Filipino martial arts gets borrowed a lot,
Yeah.
by different systems. It's gotten borrowed by, or it's gotten incorporated into Kempo, it's gotten incorporated into Krav Maga, it's gotten incorporated into a lot of other, self-defense programs.
It's true. It's true.
Yeah. So, watching a lot of those fight scenes were fun. And recently, well, not recently, like the last 10 years or so, seeing the C-Lot in the Raid series.
Oh, the Raid, yeah.
And Marantau with that also had Equal Weiss in it.
Uh-huh.
Might not be saying his name correct, but that crew is fun. I think that crew blends a lot of cool elements of traditional martial arts, combat practicality, and also theatrical flash.
I don't know if you know this, but do you know that when you do certain styles for film, if you let's say one person does C-Lot forms, right, or C-Lot in general, and then they try to do a fight scene with a guy that does Hong Kong style,
Right.
It doesn't translate well,
Okay.
So what people don't understand is, like, when they watch like the Raid and they're like, damn, these guys are so fast, they move so fluently. It's because that's what they work on. They work on C-Lot movements all day long, right?
Right.
But that's why they're so good. But then if you translate that and you put it in different style of like, if they were in, like, they're doing a fight scene with Jackie Chan in Hong Kong, that wouldn't look right. They have this thing called the Hong Kong rhythm,
Okay.
which is like, I don't know if it's created from Jackie Chan, but his team does it a lot.
Yeah.
This is like after Shaw Brothers. This is like the Golden Harvest
Oh yeah.
times,
Where you can hear the picture.
Yeah.
Right.
And they have a rhythm.
Mhm.
Basically it looks like dance in a way.
Mm.
Everybody is on the same rhythm. It just works well. It looks beautiful, right?
Mhm.
But the Raid, their C-Lot movement's so different. I mean, they do have a rhythm, but then it's just their way.
Right.
So people always ask me, like, how come they can't do fight scenes with this guy or that guy? It's like, it's because of that. Every rhythm is different. The Korean cinema has their own rhythm.
Right.
The Indonesians have the Thais have their own.
Mhm.
So all the rhythms are always different, man.
How distinct do you think Hollywood rhythm is from that. Like, because Hollywood, it seems like the overall performance levels
Right.
of the stunt guys in Hollywood's really just taken off in the past couple of decades, right? These new
Well,
kids are coming in.
see, in my opinion,
Yeah.
I mean, don't. People probably gonna like kick my ass for it,
Mm.
but all I'm saying is like, in Hollywood, they value fight scenes looking more practical.
Right.
So if you put in like a Hong Kong rhythm in it and this and that,
Yeah.
like,
Oh.
people don't want fight scenes to look dancey. They want it to look like,
Look gritty.
yeah, gritty.
Yeah.
Like oh yeah, like they
Yeah.
that's what we like. I mean that's modern day now.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know how it is, but don't get me wrong. I do enjoy like the Hong Kong, like the Jackie Chan era
Yeah.
is beautiful, but today's society, especially Hollywood, they want gritty.
Mm.
Like especially like the John Wick movies,
I was just thinking about that, right? It's like
Born
beat it with-
Identity.
Yeah.
But the Born Identity is just I can't really see the gritty because the camera's shaking too much. If you know what I'm saying, you need to stop that.
Let the stunt guys
Let the stunt guys do
perform,
his
right?
job.
Yeah.
What the fuck? Yeah, it's more trying to showcase. I think they're just trying to, in my opinion, I think they're just trying to make it more pleasing for martial artists and the stunt community.
Mm-hmm.
Cause like there's two different worlds, man. Like, speaking of which, is like a lot of like martial artists that wants to get into stunts.
Yeah.
They always assume that they can do stunts, right? When they get into the stunt world, they find out like, holy crap, this is totally different. Cause now I gotta telegraph my punches,
Yeah.
Now I have to learn how to react of a punch or a kick or a throw or me falling.
Mm-hmm.
Then they realize like, damn, I gotta put physical acting in it now.
Mm-hmm.
So it's not just them trying to fight and survive.
Right.
So it's totally different now. Now they're adding so many different elements in it now. See?
Mm.
So they're kind of like learning that respect. Like, okay, yeah, like the stunt world is different.
Yeah.
And and then you have the stunt community too, not appreciating martial artists as well.
Right.
You
Just not understanding the other world, right?
Yeah.
Like just each side kind of
Yeah.
seeing the surface level and automatically assuming things.
Correct. I mean, I respect both worlds, man. Like when you start doing fight scenes with me,
Yeah.
how did you feel about that?
So yeah, I knew it was gonna be very very physically intense.
Mm-hmm.
Well, I remember the first time we really did it. It was during the summertime. You remember we had to go to the park and it
This
was
is when we did
blazing hot
that
sun.
Singy video. That's
The Bagua video.
Bakwa. Was it Bakwa?
It was Bagua, yeah. Shinyi
Okay.
was with your boy.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Okay, we did Bakwa.
Yeah,
correct.
yeah. I enjoyed that one. That was actually I saw that a long time ago, and I didn't realize that was your project or one of your.
It was a project done by John Truey,
John Truy. Okay.
and he I think he was trying to help out a stunt guy named Keith Min at the time,
Okay.
and he was a Singy practitioner as well. So he wanted to. I think he wanted to make this video to showcase his Singy so he can teach. I guess.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
No, it was a good video.
Yeah.
Shout out to John too. John and
Yeah.
Keith.
Yeah. Shout out to John. Shout out to Keith Min.
Yeah, but
You
it was
know.
yeah. So when we did the Bagua one, I knew the circle walking movements, and some of the applications as well, right? So just knowing how to do that in a scene that made it look good. I had to modify the movements.
Yeah,
while-
you had to
while
modify.
keeping-
I could see that you had to modify it a bit just so that the camera can see it, right?
Yeah, camera can see it, and also I kind of didn't realize, which I guess I should have figured, but I guess you don't know until you're in it, just how many times you have to retake a lot of the same things.
Yeah, of course.
And,
Yeah, man.
that by itself, I'm sure, can actually it's just really taxing, right? You kind
right.
of don't know how long a shoot's gonna last, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
When we did that scene, he's doing it with our behind guy right now.
Yeah.
Al, he was He was the guy that was getting beat up.
Yeah, credit to Alex for taking all those falls
Yeah.
in that July heat while we
Yeah.
were both wearing black. Also,
I mean, not a lot of people know, but Al is also a stunt man as well too. You know.
Yeah, so that's some of those skills that that I started to realize that a stunt person needed to have, right? Like
Yeah.
the ability to take the falls and not falls in ways that are designed to protect you, but
Right.
falls in ways where you gotta land flat,
Right.
And
There's also the acting. You're physically acting.
right.
The pain face. The when
Yeah,
you're
yeah.
falling, you can't fall and look like there's no reaction. You got to react to these falls as well.
Yeah, it makes me appreciate what I see on TV now more.
Yeah.
Like different shows with stunt choreographers that that we both know of, and yeah, like and now I notice some of the acting as well. Like when
Right.
they get hit, like it's like
Right,
when
right.
like, holding their arm and
You feel that that's the hard part because you don't know it that well, right?
yeah.
Yeah.
Or I forget to do it a lot of times. It doesn't occur to me that I need to do it, right?
Yeah.
Because when you're doing combat martial arts, you're thinking of the opposite. Like, I don't want to let this guy know that I'm hurt.
Right.
You don't want to tell yourself that you're hurt either.
Right,
So
right.
it's just the opposite thing of what you're used to doing.
I had this one actress client that wanted to learn a little bit more about fight scenes, right?
Mhm.
I mean, she wasn't trying to become a stunt person. She just wanted to have something under her belt,
Sure.
and we're teaching her, her reactions. So I mean, a lot of these actors they probably know it well because it's based off of their acting, right?
Right.
She, I mean, she's capable of doing, but she was questioning it. She says, "Well, I don't normally would in real life,
Right.
like, why does that make sense if we do it for film, because in real life, because she does kickboxing too.
Mm-hmm.
It's like when I'm sparring, when I get hit, I don't go like, she does, and she's right. We don't say things like that or make those sounds.
Yeah.
But it's the same concept as telegraphing hit.
Mm-hmm.
We don't do that in real life. You're gonna hide that stuff.
Yeah.
It's just for movies. We need to showcase that, or else it's not gonna look good.
Yeah.
I actually don't. I don't know why it's like that. I think it just works well for film that we do it that way.
It works well, especially once you add, the effects as
Yeah.
well, right? Yeah, the
Yeah.
sound effects of the person getting hit.
Mm-hmm.
And they can use the editing, the camera angles.
Right.
Oh, that was the other thing. Like doing the same movement for several takes from different camera angles. Right?
It's
like
crazy,
one
though.
kick,
Yeah,
if you
yeah.
do 5 on this from this angle, 5 on this angle, you're really doing
Right.
the same move 15 times for like 1 second, right? So
Well, I mean, for Hollywood film, they probably don't do so many different takes for one scene, right?
okay.
They probably do a couple, and then they'll switch it to a different angle. But if we're doing like independent or like indie or like, we're gonna do as much takes as possible
Right.
to
Okay.
have enough coverage,
I see.
But so in the Hollywood, it's done differently for
Okay.
what I've known
Mm-hmm.
from all the movies that I've
Right.
been in.
As opposed to something that's specifically to design a fight scene,
Yeah,
right? So
yeah,
to be
yeah.
a part of a reel or to be a part of a
Yeah.
something that you put out to the inner line.
Yeah,
interwebs,
because
right? So,
because in indie, like if we shoot a fight scene, we just go to the next angle and that's it, right?
Right.
In Hollywood, it's like next angle. You got to set up the lights. You got to set, just to switch up. It takes a lot of time,
Mm-hmm.
So it is different. It's crazy. It's crazy like that. But do you enjoy doing it though?
I have fun.
Yeah.
Yeah, I have fun.
Do you feel like it's hindering your practical martial arts background when you do fight scenes?
No, I don't think so. I mean, I think also because I already had that foundation there.
Yeah.
Maybe it would have been difficult if I was trying to learn both at the same time.
Right.
Right. Then it might be confusing. But I think because if you're already proficient in one area, it's easier now to kind of empty your cup on the other side and try to fill it up with this new information. Right. The challenge is like putting your preconceived notions to the side and just kind of being able to listen and absorb like a sponge.
Right.
But no, I don't think it hinders because I know because if you know how to practice in the practical way, it actually kind of helps you appreciate it more because okay, now I can practice in a way, okay, that actually maybe I want them to think I'm going to throw a certain punch, or
Right.
maybe I want them to think I'm going to throw a certain kick.
Right.
So I don't think it has to hinder at all.
Well, it's kind of like traditional martial arts where you practice in the sparring, right? You practice on the techniques, and there's also a form that you do
Mm-hmm.
just so you can develop movements and memory, right?
Yeah.
So I would like to say like traditional martial arts probably works well for film because they already kind of, do those forms and stuff like that. They, they're kind of practicing on acting if you really think about it,
Yeah. Because you're practicing visualization,
Mm.
right? You end up trying to imitate certain ideas,
Yeah.
right? And you do have to visualize someone on the other side of it
Yeah.
if you were to really practice those traditional forms
Right.
for combat value.
Mhm.
So that's a good point too, because
Yeah.
a lot of those classical martial arts are connected to theater.
Mm-hmm.
Street performances and Peking opera.
Yeah, those
Yeah.
those schools that do performances, I believe that they can actually do
Mm,
fight scenes.
yeah, and also a lot of those forms were originally designed as a part of a two-person set.
Mm-hmm.
So there's usually kind of the opposite end of that form. How often that gets passed over
Mm-hmm.
or gets passed down, that's another question. But those forms are intended to be one half of a whole most of the time.
Right. So you respect both sides in a way.
Yeah, for sure.
Okay,
And I guess I always have.
Yeah.
Because
No, I mean, because the first time that I introduced you to fight scenes, I was a little hesitated because I didn't know,
Mhm.
If you would appreciate or like respect it,
Mhm.
or you're just gonna be like, oh, I'm a martial artist, I can't fake stuff like this,
Right. I don't think I ever had that thought process. It was just more like I probably was just keeping it separate in my mind. It's like, okay, this is movie stuff. This is the practical stuff, or
Right.
this is the stuff that's more correct when it
Right.
comes to like a textbook of martial arts. And I guess also being influenced by all those movies, I automatically had a certain level of respect for it because I knew of a lot of martial artists who ended up going into those movies successfully. I
Mhm.
mean, most of those Shaw Brothers guys and most of those Hong Kong guys, they had some sort of background outside of it, right? So I never thought that the craft wasn't difficult.
Yeah.
Maybe I would have thought, okay, he does movie martial arts. It doesn't mean he can do practical martial arts.
Right.
But I did have a lot of respect for a lot of those stunt
Uh-huh.
guys also, and also just knowing folks in the industry,
Yeah.
like knowing the stuff that they had to go through, the hours that they had to keep,
Mhm.
the stunts that they have to do, the punishment that their bodies take.
Right.
So I think that also helped me kind of have that perspective.
Well, Bruce Lee mentioned, he said, in real fighting, he would never kick that high. He would just kick low.
Yeah. And
You know.
in real fighting, from what I understand, he never made those noises either.
Yeah.
Like, that was a later thing
Yeah.
to get attention.
That's a movie thing.
Yeah.
So you notice like in his fight scenes, he's always kicking high.
Yeah.
So he knows the difference, like
Mhm.
so as long as martial artists know the difference,
Yeah.
I can respect that. But there are tons of martial artists that I know
Mhm.
that they don't respect it, and they
Yeah.
still think that they can do a fight scene, and it's like, disaster happens, somebody gets hurt.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, they're not able to control, right? They're not able
Yeah.
to pull as much.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I guess it's hard for a lot. Maybe it's hard for a lot of people to wrap their minds around both.
Mhm.
But because if you want to just focus on the practical side of martial arts, then it would make sense, at least to me, that the movies should be something completely new, right? Like you can't just take this and just fit in, square peg round hole, right?
Right.
So that, I guess, to me would have been kind of intuitive, but is one of those things where I guess it is just difficult for a lot of people to kind of just separate what they know from a new thing that they're learning.
Right.
Right.
What martial arts movie that's modern right now that both martial artists and stunt people respect?
Movie, huh?
Which one you think right now that showcase both? Martial artists would go watch and stunt guys would appreciate it too.
Well, it seems like the John Wick movies are getting good amount of
I
attention.
totally
there,
agree.
Right?
Yeah.
I haven't seen 2 and 3 yet. I've seen 1 and 4.
Yeah.
Right, but that seems like it's getting a lot of positive attention.
Oh, what do you think of Keanu Reeves doing the action?
Well, it's funny because I was just watching The Matrix the other day because they put that on Netflix.
Yeah.
So when they were uploading all those martial arts into his brain,
Yeah.
they were putting stuff up there like Taekwondo, Kempo,
like,
karate.
I know Kung Fu.
I know Kung Fu. But now it's like Gun Fu and BJJ, throws, grappling. But
I mean, you gotta respect the man.
Absolutely.
The man, like dedicated to do those fight scenes. Like,
Yeah.
not a lot of actors would do that.
Yeah. And he put in some serious work in jiu-jitsu. He put in some serious work at the range. And he's in his late 50s. That's a serious level of commitment to be able to do that.
Yeah.
Especially since I think growing up, I don't know if he was a lifelong martial artist or not. I mean, I'm sure he learned some for the Matrix. That was when he was what.
I think he probably started when he started doing the Matrix.
So that means he would have been in his 30s, which is not old but not young.
Yeah.
So that's a lot of respect to that guy for being able to really focus on that process.
Yeah.
And I guess he worked with some pretty cool people too, right? He worked with Scott Adkins. He worked with
he
the
met
Japanese actor as well.
Tiger Chan.
Tiger Chen.
I think he met Tiger Chan
Man
on
Tai
the
Chi.
Matrix.
Yeah.
Wu Ping.
Yeah. By the way, shout out to my friend Vlad Kulikov for having that scene in the first movie. He had a scene in the first movie where he was one of the captors for John Wick.
You mean in John Wick?
John Wick 1, yeah.
Okay.
John Wick 1. He had a couple of scenes in that movie.
I mean, what do you think of with Tiger Chan? What was that movie called again?
Man of Tai Chi.
Man of Tai Chi. What do you think of that movie?
I enjoyed it.
Okay.
It was corny. I had a hard time believing that Keanu Reeves was the most terrifying villain. But
bro,
yeah.
No, I enjoyed the fight scene, right?
Yeah.
But at the ending scene where he just walks up,
yeah.
I was thinking like, why does
like
he look
leaves
like
blowing up around
Batman
him.
in the
Yeah,
first
he was
movie?
dressed in black too.
Yeah,
right?
it looked like he had a stick up his ass the whole time, the way he's walking.
Yeah.
And then he starts, he's like, whoa, he's so powerful in this movie.
Yeah, he was stronger than some of those
Yeah,
fighters.
yeah.
He was stronger than some really formidable looking dudes that he already fought. But I enjoy that movie overall. Tiger Chen has a lot of good ability, and I think he has like a wushu background, but also like a Chen Tai Chi background.
Yeah.
And the guy who played his master is one of those like
Oh
old time
yeah,
classical guys.
yeah. I remember them in Jet Li's movie.
Shaolin, the Shaolin Temple series.
Yeah.
Like in the 80s. Yeah, he had like a combination of Mantis and a couple other things also.
I remember him doing Mantis back in the days.
Yeah, no, he was good.
Yeah.
He was good.
Yeah.
Rest in peace to that guy.
Yeah.
He passed like a couple years ago.
Damn. Yeah.
But he was very good. Keanu Reeves, I think he was one of the people behind the scenes, so he, it's great that he put that movie out there as well.
Mm-hmm.
And
He was the director.
He was a director for
okay.
Wow.
Yeah, because I knew he had a big role.
That was his director debut.
Oh wow.
Oh, that's cool.
Okay.
Yeah, so that's cool. He has a certain appreciation for, all the classical martial arts as well. And he put his money behind it.
You think that's the one? Wait, was this before John Wick?
Yeah.
Man of Tai Chi.
So
no, I think it was before. No, it was before John Wick.
you think this is one of the reasons why he was like picked to do John Wick?
I don't know.
Is because of the Matrix and the Man of Tai Chi? Because he's kind of like trying to get into the action.
Yeah, well, I mean,
genre,
he's played some action films before that too, right? Like well,
like that one with Patrick Swayze.
Yeah.
Speed.
Where you play like Johnny
Point
Utah.
Break.
Yeah.
Excuse me. Yeah, Point Break. That was the one.
Yeah.
That was the one. So he was already like an undercover agent in that
Yeah,
also, right?
yeah.
So different character than John Wick, but kind of like in that
Yeah.
realm of secret agent, hired assassin,
Right.
areas.
Mm.
But I enjoyed 1 and 4 a lot. I got to see 2 and 3, and there was a lot of good talent. You could tell they were trying to make it look a good
Yeah.
combination of flashy and practical.
Yeah, like I was just saying, they brought in the raid guys, into the scene. Mark Dacascos was in it.
Yeah.
They have an array of different, action guys, man.
Oh, I got to go see the others for Mark Dacascos
I
now.
mean, Donnie
Yeah,
Yen,
Donnie
the
Yen.
legend himself was in
Yeah,
it.
yeah. Donnie Yen and I can never remember his name, but the Japanese actor in Shogun.
Oh, Sonata, right?
Sonata.
Yes.
Sonata, yeah,
Yeah,
he's
yeah.
amazing. He's like a
Dude,
like a 5th-degree black belt or something. He's like a
Dude,
high level guy.
he's my idol, man. Like, I mean, you have your Jackie Chans, you have,
Mhm.
but I'm always like looking at the person that's not famous back then, and he was my idol.
Mm.
The day when I saw him in what the hell is that movie called? When he played a ninja.
Oh, Return of the Ninja?
No, it was like, well, some kind of ninja movie that featured this.
Like a made in Japan movie, right?
This was actually Hong Kong.
Was it Ninja Revenge? Or...
No. Ninja in the Dragon's Den or something like that.
Oh, that one,
Yeah, and it had a Hong Kong up and coming action star, but he didn't go that far. Which name is Conan Lee?
I've heard that name.
He was also. You ever seen Jim Carter?
I have now.
You seen the Asian guy that's it? That's Conan Lee.
I haven't seen the whole movie, but
Yeah.
I now have heard of it thanks to the brother's son.
Oh, what? You should watch that movie,
All
man.
right, I'll take a
It's
look.
fucking ridiculous.
Yeah. I mean, just the feature in the show of that movie was
Yeah.
ridiculous.
Yeah.
Especially when those guys were like, Jim Carter! So,
Yeah. And you should definitely look up Conan Lee, man.
okay.
I felt like he was gonna be, to go far, maybe even the next Jackie Chan at the time.
Mm-hmm.
He but he just stopped. Like you didn't hear from him ever again.
Oh, okay.
It's kind of sad actually, but things happen. But yeah, Sonata is the dude, man.
No, he
You
is.
know?
He looked really cool in John Wick 4 also.
Yeah. He's very trained theater actor. Speaks different languages. He's just all out good,
Yeah.
man.
And he's in his 60s now.
Yeah,
Still looks
man.
cool.
Yeah, he's the producer for this new show that just came, a remake of an old show called Shogun.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. I first saw him in Last Samurai.
Yeah,
His screen presence, you could tell, was there,
I mean, that fight scene in The Last Samurai, like a lot of people don't appreciate The Last Samurai, but then
Yeah.
I enjoyed it for what it is. And there's a scene where when they're fighting against ninjas.
Mm-hmm.
I felt that it was dope, even though it didn't look like, it wasn't too fancy, but then
Right.
it feels like it'll look like that if it's like practical.
I have to rewatch that scene
Yeah,
again.
yeah,
Yeah, I guess there's a lot of things about that movie that probably gets underappreciated now.
Yeah,
One, it was a long
yeah.
time ago, and two, I'm sure there was a lot of role by the Japanese actors in front of the camera and behind the scenes, right?
yeah.
So yeah, I need to take a look at that again. It's a well done film.
Well, speaking of which, the in that the guy that plays the son.
Oh,
and
the Archer. Yeah.
Yeah, and he dies.
Yeah.
He's actually a wushu practitioner.
Interesting.
How I found out was he was in this movie.
No way.
He was in this Disney movie with Brenna Sung
Oh, what
called
was it?
Warriors or Princess Warrior or whatever, and he plays
Oh.
the Shaolin monk in it. So, not a Shaolin monk, some kind of warrior monk, right?
Okay.
And he does
Maybe
kung
like a
fu in
Wudang
it.
monk.
Yeah. So I was like, why this guy so good? So I kind of looked it up, and yeah, he has a wushu background.
Fascinating.
Yeah, it's crazy, right?
Yeah. So I guess Yeah, I guess a lot of folks from different Asian countries
Yeah.
do that.
Yeah.
Do that art now, right? Especially as it's kind of grown a little bit in popularity. And Southeast Asia, Central Asia. So a lot of those guys are starting to do it.
I mean, I respect the fact that different Asian countries would practice in other other countries' martial arts. Like, I mean, you see China practicing karate, taekwondo, Muay Thai all the time.
FMA now too.
Yeah, you know,
Yeah,
and
BJJ
then
in the cities is getting more
you see
popular also.
Japan doing wushu,
Mm-hmm.
kung fu. You know, same thing with Thailand. You know, they're doing a lot of like Kali,
Yeah,
different arts, man. It's
Vietnam
just
too.
good to see.
Yeah, Vietnam
Yeah,
too. Now
yeah,
that I'm starting to see more and more Vietnamese people doing different forms of arnis.
right,
So
right.
no, it's great. I mean, and really throughout history, that's been more the rule than the exception. You know,
Mhm,
different people travel, different people share what they have,
mhm.
different people start to combine different things based off of personal preference. So yeah, it's very common. Like later on, you know, doors start getting shut, politics starts to come into play in the martial arts community, but really sharing is a very big part of history.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. I like that. I respect that. But you do know, like back in the days, that wasn't that. That's just so rare, though. You know, to for like let's say, China to learn like some other martial arts from a different country.
If it's
you
from a
know?
different country, yeah,
Yeah, that's
yeah.
rare.
But
Like,
just more like I guess like local people traveling
yeah,
is blending is very very common.
yeah.
Yeah,
But modern. I mean, I'm glad that we're kind of appreciating different styles nowadays and just trying to learn as much as we can. You know.
yeah. I mean, there's always that discussion about what style is the best, but it's kind of like yes, whatever's good for you.
To
Whatever
be
you wanna
honest,
do,
I don't
right?
believe in that crap anymore.
Yeah,
You know, cause I guess I come from a different way of thinking. Cause I kind of respect a lot of different martial arts.
mm-hmm.
Of course, every different martial arts has its flaws. Like, you know, but you gotta appreciate for what it is, in
Mm-hmm.
my opinion, and just trying to learn it. I think it's because I'm always into martial arts. That's the reason why I think that way.
Yeah, same. And also just like what were those people doing in that time period of that in that location?
Hmm.
You know, it's like that might have influenced the way they thought or the way they wanted to teach,
Right.
you know, or the way they interacted, right?
Right.
So yeah, so it's like, oh, why is this art done in this certain way? Oh, because people had to be ready for, alley ambushes. Oh, that
Yeah.
makes
Yeah.
sense.
Yeah.
You know, or like why
Okay.
these people wrestle this? Oh, because they had to control their animals. You know, I guess it's also just kind of like it's a study of human history and nowadays there's so much available out there. You
Right.
know, it's not like before where it's like you had to look at the yellow pages or you had to know someone who knew someone, right? Um,
Well, let me ask you this though.
yeah.
I know this is a topic too that probably people are gonna like say, but since nowadays like more martial arts are coming out,
Right.
do you think some of them are just like pure fantasy? Like they just came out now and they said that it's ancient.
That's actually
I see that all the time. Like martial arts I never heard of before coming out now, and they're like,
so.
"This is an ancient martial art dating back, blah blah blah." You know?
So according to some things that I read, also, that's actually has a pretty strong history with different Chinese martial arts too. So I'm guessing it's fairly universal
Right.
because the idea is, if you lived in an area where there were a lot of high level fighters already, you didn't want to just come in and be like, "Hey, I'm the guy with the new style," right?
Mm-hmm.
You might come up, the style might be inspired from something older, so you might tie it back to that older thing, and then you might tie it back to some mythical or semi mythical figure,
Yeah.
right? So you might say, "Oh, this style is 2,000 years old," where the truth of the matter may be closer to the fact that it's inspired by something that potentially has roots over the course of hundreds of years,
Mm.
thousands of years,
Okay.
um, like Tai Chi, as we know today, probably not very old either. If you really look at the research, is it inspired by things that have a lot of history? Probably,
Mm-hmm.
right? So, but when it comes to a lot of systems, yeah, they're not as old as they officially declare, right? But that's also, I think most people who are in it, they also understand that, like that might be what they might officially say that it's a certain age or a certain amount of time,
Yeah.
but I think they also understand that it's inspired by things that might be that old, right? So
Okay.
it's not literally like father to son over the course of 5,000 years, right? That's I don't think anything in human
inspired, but
history is that old, but
But you think people will come in and like to learn, something just that was inspired? Like, I mean, in my case, I was like, I would try to learn a martial arts um, that was there
Mm-hmm.
since back then. So I mean, I hear it all the time. Oh, this martial arts that we're doing now
Mm-hmm.
was inspired by scriptures of what we see in books
Right.
and stuff like that. Would you actually go learn something like that? Like, I mean, to me, I wouldn't though.
To me, I probably wouldn't either. I mean,
Yeah.
I would like there to be more of a live connection.
Yeah.
But some people are into that. Some people want to kind of like go through those old research and try to kind of piece together what people might have been doing back then.
Mm-hmm.
I think one example of that might be the HEMA folks. Like the European weapons folks.
Right. Yeah. Yeah.
They actually seem like they've done a pretty good job with what they do. Like they seem like
Uh-huh.
they take it very seriously. They train hard. They try to legitimately test
Right.
what they're doing.
I don't know much about it, but I seen stuff,
Yeah.
and a lot of these guys do correlate with like stage combat guys
Right.
for film.
Oh, okay.
So, but I'm sure they did their history.
Mhm.
But then I think they also base it off of like books they read and But I mean, it is interesting though.
Yeah.
I'm interested in that as well.
Yeah.
I want to take a look at that.
Yeah, but overall, like to what we were talking about with the idea of new martial arts coming out and claiming an old heritage, right?
Mhm.
I feel like as long as it gives the person a bit of benefit, right? If that myth is out there to kind of inspire, I think that's to a certain degree that's okay.
Mm.
But it does become a little tough when you're trying to claim something and you're trying to say it as a fact when it's not, right?
Yeah.
When it doesn't stand up to any sort of research.
Yeah.
So when you're looking at it from that perspective, it is important to, if you want to be serious about it, to do a certain amount of research into, okay, where does this actually come from? Because then it could help you practice too.
Right.
So like if you know that something might actually be grappling art instead of a striking art, that helps you make the art better. That helps you really understand what the traditional guys were doing,
Mhm.
right? Because also to me, like a lot of those myths don't live up to the real story,
Mhm.
right? Like one example is Bruce Lee.
Right.
Another example is a lot of these kung fu figures, right? Like so, like in different lineages that I'm a part of, like different kung fu figures that you only now we don't have any film of them, right? We see pictures of them, we read some stories about them, but to me, learning the real stories about them really actually inspires me a lot more. Like
Really?
stories that can be verified by different witness accounts at the time, stories that can be confirmed by different newspapers accounts at the time. Because I mean, it shows that they were able to achieve it during their time, which is often a harsh time,
Mhm.
right? So it gives me an idea of, okay, maybe we can. It's like imagine what we could potentially do with it, to kind of like add to the tradition or help the
Ah,
tradition, right?
I see. Yeah.
Hopefully with all these traditional arts that we have, hopefully each generation can contribute a little bit more to it, right? Because
Right.
that's what these figures that we admire, that's what they did, right? Back in China, Japan, Korea, wherever they were,
Yeah. Yeah.
right? That's why they're famous, right? Because
Yeah.
they added something to it.
Yeah. Yeah. There's always like myths about these certain martial artists, like like the thing about Miyamoto Musashi,
Mhm.
how he in a battlefield, what they say, he killed like 100 men or something like that in a battlefield. It's like what do you it's like if you think about it now, it's like, is that even possible? Even for back then, it was like how are you able to do that?
Yeah. People, and you hear other stories about different figures who killed
Yeah.
100 men in one go as well.
Yeah,
it's
yeah, like stuff like that. You kind of think about it, like, huh? How do you achieve that level?
Right.
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 I want to be able to defeat 100 men in one battle.
Right. Yeah. And
Pause.
just in case.
Just in case.
Just in case the pause is there. But yeah, I recently started to re-listen to Book of Five Rings, and
Mm-hmm. What do you think of that book?
It's definitely one of those things that you have to listen to a lot, because I first read it a long time ago, like 10 years ago now.
Yeah, mine was like a while ago too.
Yeah, so now I'm just kind of starting to kind of reappreciate it. But some of the stuff that he says is specific for a sword context, from what I know.
Right.
But some of the things that he says are universal, like the need to constantly research and study for your own, for yourself, like the importance of timing, the importance of understanding the tendencies of the other person, right?
Right.
So, and just having that fully focused mindset that you seem to have.
Mm-hmm.
So, those things are universal. I think that's also why, even though the guy lived in the 1600s, his work is still very, very, revered,
Right.
right? Because none of us know what that guy really looked like, right?
Yeah.
None of us have seen footage of him. There's no footage of him. So, for that to still have a profound effect on, pretty serious martial arts guys, I think
Yeah.
there's something to it,
Yeah. Interesting. What are your what's a martial arts history that you favor, that you are into? Cause mine is Miyamoto Musashi
Right.
and what's that other guy, the ninja one, Hattori Hanzo.
I don't
It's
know
like-
much about that guy.
Hattori Hanzo is like the first ninja or something like first
Oh, okay.
shinobi. I'm sorry. Not
Oh,
ninja
okay.
shinobi, okay? Because I know that some people be like, it's not ninja, it's shinobi. I was like, hey. Right?
Oh, I need to take a look at that then.
Yeah, yeah.
So, but what do you mean? What history do I favor? Like, what
I
do
mean,
I
like
like to
you.
research?
I know you probably like you talking about Wong Fei Hong.
Yeah, yeah.
Is there another figure that
Oh, figures.
that you respect
Hmm.
in history?
When you're talking about history, I guess different historical figures in the kung fu systems that I've seen.
Like what? Name one.
It wasn't that long ago, but like Chen Tinghua and Bagua,
Yeah, I don't know.
Gao Yisheng, and some other figures in Xinyi as well.
Are they famous?
They were famous within the martial arts communities. Yeah,
Okay.
yeah, they were known for having really good ability. Like someone like Guru Zhang, apparently he was able to. The story goes that he was able to slap. They did a test back then. They did a slap on the side of a horse, and the horse showed no apparent muscle
Yeah,
damage.
you
but
see that, guys? Like all you pimps out there, you should learn that system and make your pimp slap hand.
Nah, I don't know if
stronger.
they want this one because the horse ended up falling over dead apparently.
Right.
So and then they
That's a metaphor, folks.
That's a metaphor, yeah. It's definitely a metaphor. No literal interpretations should be taken from these words,
Yeah.
right? But apparently the horse fell over dead, and then
Wow.
when they later on did the autopsy, they
Yeah.
show massive internal damage.
Yeah.
So he was one of the ones that inspired the Iron Palm method. There's also guys like actually the character that Jet Li's last serious martial arts film, I think, was based off of Fearless, right? So that was based off of Huoyanjia.
That is a dope ass movie,
Yeah,
bro.
that was a fun movie.
Yeah.
Because, apparently he actually did accept, challenges against, like, wrestlers, boxers, and other martial arts from
Yeah.
Asia as well. And he had his own system as well.
Yeah.
But he died young, so.
Yeah.
And
You kn-
he was actually responsible for helping to create Jingwu.
Wow.
Jingwu,
Okay.
which became an international martial arts system. Like some of it's now based out of China. They also got branches outside as well.
Oh wow.
Yeah, so he was a very important figure. I don't know if there's any of them that I necessarily idolize because I learned about these guys later.
Yeah, I learned it. I learned it because of the movie. I mean, I did learn it because that was in Bruce Lee's The Chinese Connection.
Yeah.
Where
He plays a
his
student.
master was that.
His master was him. Yeah, that was his real photo.
Yeah.
That was his real photo that they
Yeah.
used in that movie.
So that movie was dope, man. I gotta watch that again. And, I always joke around with him, cause Al and I, we go clamming, right? There's a
Right.
scene where
Pause.
like pause.
Just in case.
There's a scene where like he's planting rice, like rice,
Mhm.
and everybody gets up and they're like they're just taking in the air and just doing that. So I did that while I'm crabbing. No, while I'm clamming. You know? And he knew right away what I was doing.
I almost fell into the water laughing.
Yeah. But yeah, I mean that is a dope movie. Is very cinematic. Everything about it was just good. The story is wonderful, man.
Yeah, they had some good other good actors in it. They had Colin Chow in it.
Yeah.
And they also had the guy who played the
Colin Chow was in it.
Colin Chow played his dad.
Oh, right.
Yeah.
Damn.
Yeah, and the guy that he fought with a challenge later, the guy that he got into a fight with as a kid, and then later on he fought him again as an adult, where he kicked him off that really high platform.
That's the Hong Kong practitioner, right?
I think that guy's a for real deal Hong Kong practitioner. Also,
Yeah, he looks strong. He looks strong.
He
man.
looks super strong. Like when he actually got into that stance, I'm like, I'm not sure if Jet Li could really hurt that guy. But yeah, in the movie he can.
Yeah. Wow.
But no, I enjoyed that.
Yeah.
I enjoyed that, and that Japanese actor was good as well. Actually, both those Japanese actors were good. And Jet Li, he said it was going to be his final film at the time, but I guess it was his final film of that nature. You know, he didn't really make like any like traditional martial arts films after that.
Well, I mean, same thing with Donnie when he said he's gonna make it his last film, but I think he just meant the Yip Man, series. You know. But yeah, like that's crazy. Definitely enjoyed those. What about all the Yip Man movies?
Well, I enjoyed it for the.
Do you think it's relates to the real Yip Man?
The real Yip Man never came to the U.S.
Yeah, right.
So I mean,
you mean the last movie?
Yeah. Well, I guess they try to recreate that image of Ip Man almost. Maybe I don't know how much it was just Donnie Yen's interpretation. But
what do you think of that movie? What do you think of the last one? I can tell by the way you said that you kind of like.
Well, they were trying to hit us with a lot of things at the same time, right? They were trying to hit us with with the racism issue, with the immigrant issue, with the modernization of martial arts. They were trying to give us an image of Bruce Lee.
Yeah.
And they were trying to give us an idea of what maybe the Chinese societies were like at that time in San Francisco, right?
Right.
I thought the action was good.
The action?
I thought the action was pretty good. Having Scott Adkins in there.
I thought it was okay.
Yeah, and actually the guy who played the Tai Chi master, he was actually a really good wushu athlete too.
Yeah.
He was a wushu champion, and he also went to theater school.
Well, you know that there's a karate guy in there, right? He's like under Scott.
Oh, he's actually a Wing Chun guy.
He's a Wing Chun jiu-jitsu guy. Yeah.
Yeah. I think he's still in Hong Kong.
Yeah, he still teaches.
He's over there teaching it.
Yeah.
He's pretty good from what I can see.
Yeah.
And
no, I mean, I'm happy that he respects both worlds because you're not gonna see a lot of Wing Chun jiu-jitsu guys out there, you know.
Yeah. But I enjoyed it overall. But yeah, it seemed like they were trying to do a lot with that movie.
Seems too fast for me. Like
Yeah, and then they were trying to do a lot at once. They were trying to focus on the daughter too. They were trying to focus on the son. The fact that spoiler alert for those who haven't seen it.
You definitely should see it.
But so you can go and watch it right now. It's on Netflix. I believe it's still on Netflix.
Yeah.
4 is still on Netflix, but I don't know about 1, 2, and 3.
I think 1 and 2 is on too.
Yeah. But they were also trying to focus on the soldiers who were being racist. So it was a lot going on. But it's okay.
What's your favorite? What's your favorite series? Yeah.
Oh, favorite series. I'll have to say either the Once Upon a Time in China series.
No. I mean, I meant like Yip Man.
Oh, the favorite Yip Man series. The favorite in the series. Probably the first one.
Yeah, the first one.
Yeah, the first one had
one hit hard, man.
At the time it was so new. It was taking place during the invasion.
Yeah.
By the Japanese Imperial Army at the time during World War II.
Right.
So yeah, no, it hits hard. They had a lot of good actors, and they had a lot of good talent. Like some of those northern styles were represented very well.
Yeah.
And actually the Japanese karate was also represented pretty well.
Yeah.
Also.
I don't know if that's real karate though. If you really think about it.
Why you say that?
Because I had some karate friends that said that doesn't look like real karate.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, they said it could be Hong Kong influence
I see.
with the fight scene.
So just FYI, this
Yeah.
is something that we heard. It's not
Yeah.
this is not our opinion.
Yeah, it's not.
So,
it's not
so my karate folks, I respect you a lot.
I don't know
Please don't
much
get
about
angry.
karate. I mean, I know a little bit of that stuff, but I don't do it myself, so I don't know. But
Yeah,
I
man.
do, to be honest, man. When I'm thinking actually probably taking up karate in a way,
I've seen some
like
really
Kyokushin,
good
Kyokushinkai.
karate folks.
Yeah.
And a lot of them who talk about a lot of the similar things that my Tai Chi teacher talks about.
Mm-hmm.
Like some of the things in terms of, relaxing, generating waves, understanding how to connect with your mind and body. Yeah, there's some really cool stuff to explore out there in the world of karate, it seems
Yeah,
like.
yeah. I just never did it, man. All my life growing up,
Yeah,
never really explored karate. I don't know why.
yeah.
And there was so many karate schools at that time because I was from California, you know.
Oh, yeah. So you
You
were in
know?
more of a hotbed
Yeah,
of martial arts
yeah.
overall. Yeah, like coming from the South, like there wasn't as much of that at the time.
Really?
It was there, like karate and taekwondo
What
were
was
the
what
most
was the
common.
martial arts in the South at that time when you grew up?
Taekwondo, karate. Um, there was BJJ was starting to take hold.
Okay.
Starting. This was like the late 90s.
Yeah.
But a lot of it was karate and taekwondo.
Okay.
Yeah, so back then, taekwondo was popular for such a long
Right.
time. That was like the parents could drop their kids
Yeah.
off and let them
That's
kick
like
around.
it's like the typical martial
Yeah.
arts.
Yeah, it's almost
No.
like an after-school program for the young
Yeah.
folks, for the young kids,
Yeah.
and then karate.
Well, California was karate, taekwondo,
Mhm.
judo,
Judo,
and
okay.
kung fu. Kung fu was popular at that time
We
too.
had very little. Like the only
and Muay Thai. You know.
yeah.
Yeah.
yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah.
I did find a Muay Thai gym in the yellow pages.
Mhm.
And I did find a kung fu school, and I called them, but they said that we're not taking students at this time, so it just ended up never going.
I don't understand that.
Yeah. Well, it was a guy teaching out of his house,
Oh.
but I guess he put himself in the yellow pages.
Oh.
And it was actually Wing Chun.
Oh. Okay.
So and that guy I guess he taught a handful of folks. So that was all I knew about at the time. There might have been more out there, but this was pre-social media days, so it was harder to find.
Right.
And
Want some more?
yeah, sure.
Here.
Yeah, thank you. Yeah, I'm good. And yeah, so I ended up landing on Taekwondo because I watched I read about it too, like a nerd.
Taekwondo?
Because I'll go to the library and I would like check out different books on martial arts.
Yeah, that's when we didn't have a cell phone at the time, so
Yeah,
we go to the
yeah,
library.
yeah.
I did the same.
Yeah,
That's
yeah.
crazy that you and I did that.
Yeah. So I remember reading books about. There was like a whole section on martial arts, and I would read. Oh, this is a kung fu book, Taekwondo book, karate. So I was like, oh, Taekwondo has high kicks. Because as a teenager, you think in very general terms. So Taekwondo has a high kicks. All right, I want to practice that. It
Yeah.
seems cool. So that
Yeah.
you get to kind of develop that. So I ended up going into that.
My first thing was actually Kali and Silat from the library.
I had no idea that was even a thing back then.
Yeah, and then I think it was either my brother or my dad was like, in the Game of Death, this one character does the Filipino style, which is Kali.
Yeah.
I was like, huh? I thought that was kung fu all this time. But
Yeah.
when I looked at it, I was like, oh wow, yeah, that's Kali right there.
Yeah. No, it's
Very
cool
interesting.
to see.
Yeah.
It's cool to see the FMA and the CLOT systems also, just because
Mhm.
they're as diverse as kung fu.
Right.
So those are like two almost entirely
Mhm.
worlds of their own.
Right.
So it's pretty cool to see. But there's also a lot of overlap because I'm sure a lot of back in the day there's a lot of traveling back and forth. Because Indonesia's not very far from the Philippines, and they're all
Yeah.
just different islands.
Wow. It's interesting, man. Like I wanna keep diving into different styles, just seeing what their benefits are. I love this stuff.
Yeah. I mean, and also a lot of it just has to do with we were talking last time about just like the ability to help yourself, right?
Right.
Right. So I think that's very, very important.
Mhm.
And actually, I'm sure for you guys, you were talking about growing up in the ghetto too, right? It's a way to kind of like connect with your identity a little bit. right?
Well, for me, not. I mean, I'm gonna be honest. For me, it was just to basically protect myself.
Okay.
You know, later
Yeah.
on in life, I see it as an identity thing.
Yeah,
You
yeah,
know?
yeah.
Like cult is, being, that is culture. Like it's
Right.
based off of your culture.
Although I would argue, as just a part of your life, right? In a way, that's even more cultural, right? It's just stuff you do without thinking about it.
Right.
It's a family thing or it's a community thing. You guys just do it without really thinking about it, right? So
Yeah, I
that's
agree with that.
yeah. So in a way, like you could say that's that is
Excuse
like
me.
your true a part of your true culture, right?
Right, right. Well, I mean, this is a topic we can discuss for next time. But
Yeah.
if folks out there want us to talk about something, just leave a comment. So for now, we're gonna end it here. Right? You want to say anything to people out there before we end it?
No. Thanks for jumping in. If you want, come check us out May 18th.
Yeah.
For Grandmaster Bobby Tabwata's seminar in Elizabeth, New Jersey. Drop me a message.
Yeah, I'll
or-
post up
yeah.
his information on the video.
Yeah. But
Okay.
that's also it'll be a fun day.
Yeah,
Be
yeah,
a fun day. Good training, good eating, good singing.
yeah. Can't wait, man.
Oh yeah, gotta do all three.
Right. Pause. Anyways, goodbye.